Hey there guys, what's going on? It's Gale right here, back on the 5-9 channel, and we are here with the second episode review for Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. Of course, with me today, we have a returning guest from last week, Jellycube. Say hello.
Hello, everybody. How you doing?
So, of course, we are into the second episode. You know, we had seen in the last episode that Ilulu had done something to Kobayashi, and of course, you know, our guesses were correct from the last episode that she indeed turned Kobayashi into a male, effectively, hormones and all effectively, right? So, before we get into that aspect, we did get a bit of a insight into Ilulu's background, of course, before the OP, in that, of course, she was playing with humans a lot, and then, of course, humans invaded her family's home effectively and killed her parents. How did you find that backstory, or a slight teaser into her backstory, Jelly?
Well, I always like when we get more insight into the background of characters in anime, especially in slice of life and like comedy anime.
Yeah.
And Ilulu's seems to be definitely very interesting, and it definitely goes to show how she developed her characteristics like she is now. Like her parents like accepting that she wants to play with these human children at first, and then when it seems humankind cannot accept the peace between dragons and humans, all of a sudden her opinion changes when her parents are no longer with her, and so it's hinted at.
I think even with that as well, they did kind of tease the fact that, you know, she still wanted to play with humans even though everything had gone wrong, because she still just wanted to play. And then, of course, but you know, everybody around her was saying, what are you talking about? Your parents died because of these humans. What's wrong with you, you know?
Yeah.
So there is obviously that factor, but then of course that was the insight we had, and then we obviously got into the whole shenanigans of Kobayashi coming to terms with that the fact that she was now male, which was quite entertaining, of course, because of the fact that obviously I genuinely didn't think that, you know, she would be affected by the hormones of the male hormones of, you know, when you're around women, of course, and, you know, things happen, of course, right? I didn't expect that part of the, that part of the change to also come along with it, which led to some hilarious moments between her and Kana, as well as her and Toru, of course. And then Toru was like, I already knew that I injected you with love potion as well. Let's get it. You know, let's get jiggy with it. And it was well done. I think that was really funny, especially I love the fact that she also managed to get away from her male hormones because of the fact that Toru was not wearing the maid outfit anymore. That was too good. How did you find that whole scenario? I thought it was pretty short. I thought it was gonna pretty much be the entire episode. But yeah, how did you find that whole that mini section of like 7 to 8 minutes?
Yeah, I agree. I thought like how like just seeing the name of the episode and how they were setting it up last episode. I thought the whole episode was going to be Kobayashi's a dude now. How are we going to deal with this? Yeah. And then it just ended up being that little bit at the beginning, like the first third of the episode. I found it to be very funny, especially like you said, when Toru's like, I gave you love potion, now it is finally time. And then Kobayashi, very true to character, is just like, oh, you're not dressed as a maid anymore. I'm going to spend hours telling you why maids are great from the male point of view.
It's great. It was great, honestly. It was great, quick moment. But yeah, I was kind of surprised because the episode was pretty much called. Well, I think they showed it in the episode as well. In which, like, just as it was, changing to the second half of the episode, basically, it was called Hot Guy Kobayashi. I think the episode, right?
Yes.
So I genuinely thought it was going to be the entirety of the episode, but then it switched over to obviously Ilulu running away from somebody, and of course it ended up being a man, or I say a man, a person, or
he had horns.
Yeah, he had horns.
He might have been a dragon.
I don't know what he was specifically. he might be a dragon. He probably is a dragon. He comes from the other faction, of course, not the Chaos faction, the Harmony faction. And his name is Kerman in the episode. Obviously, in the manga, it's Clement, I think. And he basically is chasing after Ilulu, trying to kill her, basically, you know, opposing factions, and Ilulu being in the human world, you know, obviously to maintain decorum, I suppose, is the best way to put it. Kerman was just like, all right, time to go and kill him effectively, or kill her, sorry, effectively. And at the same time, we see Kobayashi's internal dilemma of like why she's so obsessed with Iruru. And of course, it's because she starts realizing that she sees a bit of her before Toru, or before she met Toru, and hence why she's so focused on Iruru. How did you find that whole inner dilemma from Kobayashi? I was about to say Toru again. Super obsessed with Toru for some reason, but we'll come on to Toru later on. But yeah, right. How did you find that inner dilemma and the overall aspect of like her obsession with Iruru?
I think it makes a lot of sense for Kobayashi, just considering how meeting all the dragons, in the first season, Kobayashi doesn't really believe at this point that like dragons and humans can't coexist, because look at all the proof that she has that they can.
Yeah.
So seeing Iruru, who obviously is still interacting with Kobayashi and is curious about Kobayashi and wants to interact with Kobayashi, Kobayashi's kind of like, all right, I'm gonna be nice to this one, and I see a bit of myself in her, and I think it makes a lot of sense, the interactions between Kobayashi and Iruru, at least on that front.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm kind of surprised about is obviously Iruru she hasn't seen Quetzalcoatl and Fafnir, right? She's only seen Toru and
Kana.
And Kana, of course, all three of them, I think, in particular, right? So I'm kind of surprised that, obviously, I want to wonder, of course, obviously with whatever happens later in the episode, we'll talk about it in a second. I'm surprised they didn't, bring in that bit of aspect of like, oh, look at Fafnir, he's just hanging out with another, playing games with another dude, and then obviously, well, Quetzalcoatl's doing shenanigans, already. But yeah, I'm surprised that they didn't obviously look into that aspect, because it would have been kind of interesting to see how that would have gone about. Like, would she have changed earlier maybe as well? Who knows, right? We'll get on to now what happens afterwards. Obviously, Kobayashi runs into, Iruru basically being chased and, beaten up by Kerman, and of course, distracts him with a buzzer basically and runs off. And yeah, basically they have a little bit of a heart-to-heart moment, which I think they did that very well. I think they handled that very well. A bit, I'll still maintain, Jelly and I were talking about this before the recording, and I personally felt it was a bit fast as to how quickly this whole arc went by of like, oh, Iruru's out to show Kobayashi that, humans are bad and dragons and humans should remain separate and stuff like that. So a bit fast for my liking, but they still handled it well, right? How did you find that whole heart-to-heart and, the discussion that they had?
I appreciated seeing that, again, the heart-to-heart between Kobayashi and Iruru, especially when Iruru was just like, you're trying to trick me, you're trying to, you're just telling me what I want to hear, and Kobayashi was like, yep, I'm trying to tame an evil dragon, and I'm trying to trick you. Are you gonna let me?
Yep.
And Iruru was just kind of like, yeah.
I'm a fall for it. It's fine.
Yeah.
And then of course, then Kerman immediately comes in and is like, well, that's all good and all, but I'm out here to try and kill a dragon. So if you could kindly just step aside, that would be appreciated. Obviously, Kobayashi wouldn't step aside, puts herself in front of Iruru and gets knocked back, of course, as you do. I would have been surprised if it was anything else. It would have been kind of weird if it was anything else. But thankfully, to save the day, of course, we had Toru. And Toru was holding no prisoners. Like, that was intense, obviously. I genuinely, it looked like his head was about to pop. I'm not gonna lie with how
I thought
badly she was choking him, and I was like, all right, can I calm down? And then I love how at the end of it, she's like, I just removed his memories, and I decided to punish him by taking his horn and torture him a bit. And I was like, okay, never mind. Yep, that's fine. Yep, that's okay. That's all good by me. But yeah, that was well done. I think they handled that it showed also how much more powerful Toru is versus Iruru, right? Iruru didn't do much against Kerman. Kerman was literally throwing her around, kinda, not completely, but kinda, she was kind of scruffed up and whatnot, whereas Toru came in, did the job, got out, kind of thing, right? So that's kind of a good indication of the difference in power level as well between Toru and obviously a dragon like Ilulu, Kerman, and stuff like that. So well done in that regards, I think. We move into the next scene, of course, of Kobayashi, obviously, feeling the after effects of being knocked back by a dragon, which of course would be kind of detrimental. You'd lose a bit of blood. How did you find that whole scene after that, where of course Kobayashi's in the bed, and then Iru's again, it's the same thing, a bit of a heart to heart again, and it's just like, yep, you're in my fold now. So how did you find that this whole segment of did you find it a bit fast? Like me personally, I kind of did find it fast. I liked it, but it was a bit fast. And how did you just find it generally, in terms of from start to end, we say end, we still have to see how she completely integrates. We did see a bit of it. We have to still see how she completely integrates with the family, of course. But yeah, how did you find this whole section so far?
I really liked it. I agree. It was very fast paced. I know what KyoAni is trying to do with, we have so many stories we want to tell this season that involve Ilulu and maybe the other dragons and whatnot. So we can still kind of have a rivalry between her and Toru, or I can understand where they're coming from, where they wanted her to be, a part of the family at this point, I appreciated, again, the interaction between Kobayashi and Ilulu, yes, I want to be a part of this family. Yes, I want to believe that humans and dragons can coexist. And I also appreciate just the little hints of jealousy from Toru, seeing how close Ilulu already is to Kobayashi.
No, I agree. I love how just Kana's off to the side, just yep, I'm all good with it. More people, let's go. Big ups. But yeah, no, that was well done. I agree with you on that. It was very, the attention to detail, obviously Toru's, reactions, as well as Kana's just aloofness, as well as just, of course, Ilulu wanting to get affirmation from Kobayashi, of course. And then, of course, we see her trying to integrate. Of course, I'm not gonna lie, I have to agree with Toru. When we start getting into the integration section of the episode, obviously it just hints of it, we'll still see more in the next episode, I do believe, of course. We obviously see her trying to integrate, obviously she has her massive claws. She's unable to transform her clothes into skills. She doesn't have that control. Another example of how much more powerful Toru is compared to Ilulu, right? A lot of small indications of just difference in skill level was shown across this episode, I feel. Obviously coming in from last episode's complete domination by Toru once she was able to not worry about protecting the humans, right? So yeah, I love stuff like her trying to control and trying to integrate herself. Bro, when Toru when she switched her hands to the to what looked like obviously just palms initially, and then when we look at it closer, I have to agree with Toru, and then when we saw it was little hands completely that was super creepy, I'm not gonna lie. That felt ooh, and the way they especially animated it was I don't know about that, bro. It
was gross.
It was so gross. And then of course we saw her, the usual, fan servicey stuff was there, of course, with her popping the shirt out and whatnot, the usual stuff. But I really loved the section, of course, where we were looking at the sheets that Toru made of how to integrate yourself with human beings, and it's so biased as well, especially when it comes to the clothing section, and it was you're going against what you just wrote, and it's well, that's tough. I can do it, kind of. That's not fair. And I really like that. And of course, the episode ends off with, Kobayashi, handing Ilulu a mug with a small pink dragon, saying, well, that's for you. And we wrap up there. Yeah, so overall, that I love that integration section. And hopefully we see more in the next episode. How did you feel? I think that's what we will probably see in the next episode, I feel, as well, because I think what they're trying to do is, of course, start something do half and halves, so the second half of an episode will lead into the first half of the next episode, and then the second half of that in the next episode will lead into the episode after that, and so on and so forth. So do you think that that's going to happen, and how did you find that whole integration section as well?
I liked when they had when Kobayashi handed Iruru like the mug, and I think she handed her like a rice bowl or something as well. Just kind of proving like these are your things, this is your home. And I'm interested to see what happens next with making Kobayashi's very small apartment more of a home for Iruru going forward. And I am interested to see next episode, like, what kind of shenanigans they can get into, of course. If Iruru is going to finally meet, like, Fafnir and Quetzalcoatl.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. I do also want to say, obviously, you know, we already saw her last time, you know, not last time, last season, I should say. Obviously, they switched to a new apartment, a bigger apartment. I wonder if we'll get another episode this season where they're trying to find an even bigger apartment again because of the fact that there's more people needing
Would probably be a good idea.
Yeah, it might be a consideration they might want to take into. But yeah, definitely very, very a great episode, I think, in terms of like wrapping up the whole Iruru arc or Iruru being an enemy arc. I want to see how they handle the upcoming episodes. Obviously, hopefully it's not as fast paced, because as much as, I mean, I want to just see like detailed, nice, long episodes like explaining everything. Nah, it doesn't have to be obviously in detail, but you know, it felt a bit just a teeny tiny bit fast. So if they could just ease it out a bit more, that would be amazing. But yeah, any final thoughts from you regarding this episode, Jelly?
No, it was a good episode in total. Like you said, it was a little fast paced, but you know what? I'm happy they did that to integrate Iruru more so into the main cast, and I'm excited to see where we go from here.
Yep, definitely, for sure. So I'm obviously, if you guys have any thoughts about the episode yourselves, leave it down in the comment section below. Would love to see what you guys thought about today's episode, and of course the overall arc of Iruru so far. And yeah, we'll obviously be hopefully back next week for the next episode review, of course. If you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like down below, subscribe for more anime related content on the 5-9 channel. And of course, Jelly, thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. A pleasure to have you on, as always.
Of course, my pleasure to be here.
Yep. And of course, like I said, we'll see you guys in the next anime related video, hopefully soon. Until then, we'll catch you guys next time. Peace out, everybody.
See ya.